Okay, it's Monday, August 23rd, and we're going to go ahead and start our technology and committee meeting. It is 5:36. Attended by Kevin Strobel,
Scott Matz,
Kristen Thompson.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and get started, Scott?
All right. So, welcome back to everyone. Hope we had a good summer, and compared to last year, just to Kevin, we're in a much better place. So we are ready to start the year, and I'm not sitting here silently contemplating, can I retire? So it's a good start to the year compared to last year. So diving into the agenda, just to review our summer work. That is, majority of that is obviously wrapped up with the kids coming back on Thursday. But from the equipment deployment standpoint, all of our high school iPads are in. They are set up. They are ready to go on Thursday. We've actually been deploying those now for a couple weeks. Back in July, some of our AP students picked them up. We also had the option for our 9th graders to receive their device at 9th grade orientation earlier this month, and we actually had a substantial number of them take advantage of that. I think close to 200 of the 9th graders picked them up, and then we've been doing just rolling pickups over the last week and a half. So any student who did not receive their device will obviously receive it on Thursday. We'll go through setup, and then we'll be off and running with the new devices at the high school. Similarly, all our other buildings are staged, ready for deployment. So we're looking forward to a smooth start to the year on that front. Looking at our server equipment, that deployment is in progress. That's moving along. That is the one that we did have about 2 weeks setback just because of shipping, which really, in the scheme of things, is not a catastrophe for us. That project is one that can really work at our schedule. So compared to equipment that we had to have in for the start of the school year for the students, that is more just on the back end for us. So we were thankful that if we were going to experience any of the global shipping delays, that it came in that category rather than any equipment for our students.
So they will be online prior to?
Yep, we're in good shape there. Looking at our internet service providers, that was the project to bring 2 internet connections into the district, one to the high school, one to the middle school. That was wrapped up in mid-July. We're running on both connections, so that not only yielded a cost savings for us, but now if our main internet connection were to go down here at the high school, we do have a backup connection that we can fall back on. So rather than when a squirrel decides it's a little hungry, knocking us completely offline, we do have some fallback capabilities for us. And obviously with the large expansion of technology that occurred over the last year, that internet connection became that much more important for us to continue our instruction, continue working with our students. So we're thrilled to have that online, and that'll be a great benefit for us. And then the other project we had going on at our last meeting was the frontline implementation, and that was for our forms and our hiring. The hiring piece is completely online. That launched. That may have launched actually at our last meeting. I couldn't recall if I provided that update, but that is fully online. We've been having all of our positions flow through that this summer, and we are in the process of the frontline central piece, which is the digital form component of it. And we're at the point that the forms are being built out, and next week we have a call on the testing side of that. So that will be launching most likely here in September, and then that project will be coming to an end for us. So we're pleased how that's been moving along. Beyond that, overall summer really has gone well. We were fully staffed with our Nimbrel crew, and it was great to experience that in a quote-unquote normal environment this year rather than last year. They accomplished everything in record time, and I've been very pleased with the support we've received both from them and our district personnel as well. So, like I said, compared to last year, much more positive comments on the summer front.
Absolutely.
So, any questions as far as our summer went? All right. So the remainder of the meeting, as we look down through the agenda, really want to just give some forward-looking statements for the rest of the school year. Some new features that we have. here in Infinite Campus and just give you an idea of some of the projects and different things we'll discuss this year just to set the stage for the fall. So on the Infinite Campus front, we're gaining a couple new capabilities, some that will be rolling out already this week, and we've discussed some of these already previously. The first and most popular would be the digital back-to-school verification. So that is completely set up and staged for our parents. We'll have an instructional sheet ready to email out to them, as well as a brief video walking them through that process. And what that will allow them to do is go through, verify their contact information, address, emergency contacts, school health information, acknowledge things like the handbook, My iPad Insurance for Technology, all in a digital way. So you won't have the manual forms for parents to fill out, pen and paper. We simply won't have the transcription that has to occur back into the system. Any changes that parents make will be flagged to the office for a final review and approval before the change is made in the system. But again, we won't have necessarily that user error if someone copies an email address wrong or types something wrong. We're putting that control directly in our parents' hands. Similarly, we've centralized some of the back-to-school payments that occur, so things like parking pass, iPad insurance that we talked about. Also similarly centralized into Infinite Campus this year. So we're continuing on that goal to make campus a really one-stop shop for our parents, just from a convenience perspective, and also just from an ease of maintenance on our end, that we don't have to keep checking multiple different databases for information. We'll have it all housed in one location. We're also gaining the ability, this will be something we'll roll out with winter, is activity registration. So for our athletic department, students as they're registering for a winter athletic sport or / activity fee, we'll be able to roll that also through Infinite Campus. And number one, just beyond the digital workload nature of that, gives us some improved efficiencies as well. On the back end for things like eligibility, things of that nature, we have to roster quote-unquote courses for the students so we can run eligibility. As the students are registered in this, we can automatically push them into the courses. So again, just eliminating some of that human element that we have to copy information from one system into the other, helping eliminate any potential errors there, and just making it an automated process. And last but not least, we're going to gain the ability for parents to submit absences directly through Infinite Campus. So currently it's either paper note coming in or parents would email an email address that we have set up. So it's something like hsattendance@dvu.org or msattendance@dvu.org for the particular building. What this will do is allow our parents to submit it through Campus Portal. So we gain some additional security insight because that's coming through a password protected location. So we know it's coming through from the parent's account. There is a record then for the parent as well to see the absence request. And similarly, there's still a check in our main office for the technical secretaries to approve these absences and route them into the system. But again, this is creating another efficiency really for us by having something housed in one location and standardizing the format that it's coming in. We can require the fields that parents submit so we know absence submissions coming in with the necessary information. We don't necessarily have to have a back and forth to gain any additional information. So looking forward to rolling out that functionality in campus and continuing to grow our use of that product. Questions on the Infinite Campus product?
A lot of inroads.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that was a substantial project last year, but compared to what we have at the school, many more things that we can do, and I think we'll continue to grow into it. So that's been an awesome addition, I think, to the district. Hopefully, parents and students will similarly see that benefit. On the project front, looking ahead at things that we're talking about as we're looking at budget this year, and most of this year focusing on infrastructure, because with the iPad rollout, our end-user devices for students and faculty became much more streamlined. So most of our projects now are more geared towards an infrastructure perspective. So we We will have our usual network switch replacement. It is only a handful of switches this year. It is not a major network upgrade from that perspective this year. The two major areas that we'll be looking at is ensuring that we have backup power in all locations for our equipment. We are in fairly good shape in all of our main network closets, but ensuring that we have backup power in any of our smaller auxiliary locations. So we're in a really interesting place because our students obviously have battery-powered iPads, our teachers have battery-powered laptops. Power disruptions are not necessarily what they used to be as far as eliminating our ability to work. So with most of our equipment being on backup power, a lot of our wireless access points similarly receive their power from our network equipment. So with the equipment on backup, instruction can continue to occur whether the lights are on or not through a mix of generator power on our end and battery power on the student and employee devices. So obviously we're at the mercy of how charged those devices are, but it's not an immediate shutdown for us. So we want to ensure that we do have that backup power in all of our locations just to limit the disruption to the district services. The other piece that we'll be looking at is our phone system is coming up on its 10-year mark. And that's at the point that it's time to review that system. We do have some models of our phone at end of life, and I'm going to just clarify what end of life means. That means the phones are no longer in production. We can't buy them. It does not mean they're not supported. It just indicates that that will be the next stage, that at a certain point phones won't be supported. So we are in that in-between time frame. From a timing perspective, it's actually a good problem for us to have, just because there's been so many advances in communication over the last year with from work from home and different things. So we can look at things. There are systems out there that currently use Zoom. Zoom has their own phone service. There's many other systems. So just looking at that holistically now with all the new communication means we have in place, as we're looking at next steps for versions of the phone system, we can factor that in to our decision making and evaluation, and that's certainly something that a year, 18 months ago wouldn't have been on our radar quite as much, just simply because it wasn't something in education. But now with that in place, we can make forward-looking decisions that factor that new element into our operations, into the decisions.
Are we currently cloud-based?
We are not cloud-based, so that would be a key piece. Our phone system is actually the last, what I'll say, critical component of our infrastructure that is on-premise, and that will be actually really focus number one, is looking at a cloud-based system now that we do have the redundant internet connections and that sort of thing. So that's our last, really point of potential vulnerability that we want to evaluate out.
It's cheaper too.
Indeed. Yep. Any questions on that? Like I said, those will be just topics of discussion in more depth, just to give you an idea of what will be coming along in the fall. All right. And last but not least, on the digital learning front, really that's something we kind of touched on back in May, just our initiatives there. So we obviously have our virtual learning initiative that we're undertaking with the Blackboard implementation at our secondary level, as well as district-wide. One thing I mentioned back in May is a focus on collaboration. We really want to focus on what our virtual learning cards have given us. So obviously that has facilitated education from student home to in classroom, but that's not the only thing it can facilitate for us. It can facilitate collaborative opportunities for us building to building, so we could connect a high school classroom with an elementary classroom just within district. It has the capabilities to facilitate potentially district-to-district discussions. Maybe Danny Boone to another Berks County district, to across the state, to across the country. We now have a device in our classroom to connect our students with really a limitless possibility of other individuals or other schools, or it could be with experts out in the field, so other adults. Certainly in this area we have a lot of different industries, but there are some that just don't exist in Pennsylvania, but we could potentially connect with Silicon Valley on the technology front with those cards. We've all seen that over the last year, how we can all connect over Zoom or other platforms And that's not limited to just our personal lives. We can certainly take advantage of that in classrooms. So that will be a primary focus, is leveraging those parts just to, again, tear down the 4 physical walls that education has previously existed in, and we can certainly open up our doors to outside opportunities now through those parts. And thankfully, other districts obviously went through different forms of transformation as well, so they have similar capabilities now and via one-to-one with laptops and whatnot. So really going to be looking to collaborate at minimum with other districts in the county, but really hoping we'll be able to leverage some other opportunities that go beyond just a couple miles away to connect our students with those experiences, and again really leveraging the investment that we really appreciate you making over the last year, so we get our full money's worth out of that. So I think that's going to be exciting this year now that we're through the storm and hopefully resetting for what education looks like in the future. If you want to start off on the right foot on that front. Any questions on that one? Any questions in general?
It's going well. Looking forward to the school year starting.
We are, yes.
It looks like everything's on pace. It certainly beats last year. We're waiting on carts. We're waiting on screws. We're waiting on wheels.
Yeah. It is exciting to talk about new opportunities.
My mask got caught in a wheel with a screw.
Exactly.
So it's been good. It really is a lot of good news and a lot of moving forward. And being able to resource our dollars in a different direction to get more out of it is really the advantage that I think we've taken in the last 3 years, or you've taken in the last 3 years, in a big way with a lot of different things. It's continuing.
Yeah, it is awesome now that we have so many tools at our disposal now to be able to talk, all right, how are we going to maximize, rather than having discussions of what we need. Now it's what do we have, how are we going to grow our use of it. So that's been a great, real, not to use the word pivot that's been overused over the last year, but really a great pivot for us.
Exactly. Other than that, anybody have anything? Well, that concludes our meeting.